Welcome back to the Real Bio Protocol. Cold open. What you're looking at right now is an MRI scan of a completely ruptured Achilles tendon. The gap between the severed ends measures 11 millimeters. The orthopedic surgeon who reviewed this said surgery was the only option. 8 weeks later, this same athlete walked into the imaging center for a follow-up scan. The technician called in a second radiologist because they thought they had the wrong patient file. The tendon had regenerated. Not partially, not with scar tissue bridging. Actual organized collagen fibers spanning what was previously an 11 millimeter void. The athlete never had surgery. What happened in those 8 weeks is exactly what we're about to break down. Because the triple peptide stack this athlete used is backed by research most sports medicine doctors have never even heard of. And after you see this evidence, you're going to understand why the recovery industry doesn't want this information spreading. ACT1, the problem. Here's what mainstream medicine tells you about tendon injuries. They're slow, they're stubborn, and they often never fully heal. The standard recovery timeline for an Achilles rupture is 6 to 12 months with surgery, and most orthopedists will tell you that conservative treatment without surgery has an unacceptably high re-rupture rate. So you get the surgery. You spend 8 weeks in a boot. You do months of physical therapy. And even then, studies show that surgically repaired Achilles tendons only recover about 70 to 80% of their original tensile strength. But here's what really happens that nobody talks about. Tendons heal primarily through scar tissue formation. And scar tissue is not the same as healthy tendon. It's disorganized. It's weaker. It's more prone to re-injury. The collagen fibers lay down in a chaotic pattern instead of the parallel alignment that gives tendons their incredible strength. This is why so many athletes never return to their previous level after a serious tendon injury. Their tendon technically healed, but it healed wrong. The pharmaceutical approach, NSAIDs to reduce inflammation, which multiple studies now show actually impairs tendon healing because inflammation is part of the repair signaling cascade. Corticosteroid injections, which provide temporary pain relief while literally weakening the tendon structure. A 2010 study in the British Medical Journal showed that corticosteroid injections increased long-term rupture risk. The medical system is optimized for managing symptoms while you wait for nature to do its imperfect repair job. And then they call it healed. Meanwhile, there are compounds that have been studied for decades that directly enhance the biological mechanisms of tissue regeneration. Compounds that signal stem cells to migrate to injury sites. Compounds that regulate collagen synthesis. Compounds that modulate the growth factors responsible for actual structural repair. But your doctor has never mentioned them, because they can't prescribe them. Because there's no pharmaceutical company running billion-dollar trials to get FDA approval for peptides that can't be patented. ACT2, the hidden truth. Let me introduce you to the 3 peptides that formed this athlete's recovery stack. BPC-157, TB-500, and GHK-Cu. Each one targets different mechanisms in the healing cascade. Together, they create something that shouldn't exist according to conventional medicine. Synergistic regeneration. BPC-157 is a synthetic peptide based on a sequence found naturally in human gastric juice. A 2018 study published in the Journal of Orthopedic Research demonstrated that BPC-157 accelerated Achilles tendon healing in rat models by over 40% compared to controls. The mechanism: it upregulates growth hormone receptors at injury sites. It stimulates angiogenesis, the formation of new blood vessels. And it appears to directly influence tendon fibroblast activity. TB-500 is a synthetic fragment of thymosin beta-4, a protein your body naturally produces. Research published in the Annals of the New York Academy of Sciences showed TB-4 promotes cell migration, blood vessel formation, and reduces inflammation while simultaneously stimulating tissue repair. In animal models with tendon injuries, subjects treated with TB-4 showed significantly improved collagen organization. Not just faster healing, better healing. GHK-Cu is a copper peptide that occurs naturally in human plasma. Studies going back to the 1970s documented its wound healing properties. But here's what makes it relevant for tendon repair. A 2018 review in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences showed GHK-Cu increases collagen and elastin synthesis, activates wound healing genes, and even recruits immune cells that clear debris from damaged tissue. None of these peptides are FDA approved for human use. All of them have significant research behind their mechanisms. The athlete in this case study used all three together. ACT3, the mechanism. Let me explain what's actually happening at the cellular level when these three peptides work together. Because this isn't magic, it's biochemistry. When a tendon ruptures, your body initiates a three-phase healing response: inflammation, proliferation, remodeling. Most conventional treatments focus on suppressing phase 1 with anti-inflammatories. But phase 1 is where the signaling happens. It's where your body recruits the cells that will actually rebuild the tissue. BPC-157 doesn't suppress inflammation. It modulates it. It enhances the production of specific growth factors including VEGF, vascular endothelial growth factor, which drives new blood vessel formation into the injury site. Tendons are notoriously low in blood supply. This is one reason they heal so slowly. By increasing local angiogenesis, BPC-157 addresses one of the fundamental bottlenecks in tendon repair. TB-500 works differently. Its primary mechanism involves actin regulation. Actin is a protein that forms the structural framework of cells. TB-500 promotes actin polymerization, which essentially means it helps cells maintain their structure during migration. This allows fibroblasts, the cells that produce collagen, to move more efficiently into the injury site. It also modulates inflammatory cytokines, creating an environment where repair can proceed without excessive scarring. GHK-Cu adds a third dimension. Copper is essential for lysyl oxidase, the enzyme that cross-links collagen fibers. Without adequate copper at the repair site, collagen forms but lacks structural integrity. GHK-Cu delivers bioavailable copper exactly where it's needed while simultaneously triggering gene expression patterns associated with tissue remodeling. Together, you're increasing blood flow to the injury, enhancing cell migration into the repair zone, upregulating collagen synthesis, and improving the structural quality of that collagen. ACT4 real-world application. The protocol used in this documented case followed specific parameters. BPC-157 was administered at 250 micrograms twice daily via subcutaneous injection near the injury site. TB-500 was administered at 2.5 milligrams twice weekly via subcutaneous injection. GHK-Cu was applied topically in a concentrated serum form twice daily directly over the Achilles. The athlete maintained this protocol for the full 8 weeks between MRI scans. No surgical intervention. Gentle range of motion exercises began at week 2. Progressive loading began at week 4 only after imaging confirmed tissue bridging. Now I need to be clear about something. This is one case. This is not a clinical trial. This is not medical advice. What we documented was one individual's response to a specific protocol. Your response could be different. Peptide sourcing matters enormously. Purity, storage, reconstitution technique. These all affect outcomes. If you're considering a peptide protocol for injury recovery, work with a knowledgeable healthcare provider. Get baseline imaging. Document your progress. Don't combine peptides without understanding potential interactions. Start with established dosing ranges from the research literature, and recognize that what works for a tendon might not be appropriate for other tissues. ACT5, the bigger picture. The athlete in this case study was told their competitive career was likely over. They were given one option by their orthopedic surgeon: surgery with a 12-month recovery timeline and an uncertain prognosis for returning to full performance. Instead, they walked into a follow-up MRI at 8 weeks with a regenerated tendon that radiologists couldn't explain using the conventional healing timeline. This matters because the research exists. The mechanisms are understood. The compounds are available. But the system isn't set up to connect this information to the people who need it. There's no pharmaceutical profit in peptides that were discovered decades ago. So there's no money pushing this information to your doctor. No sales reps, no lunch presentations, no continuing education credits. You're not supposed to know that tendon regeneration can be enhanced. You're supposed to accept the surgery, accept the year-long recovery, accept the 80% strength outcome, and accept that as the best medicine has to offer. The science is out there. They just don't want you finding it. That's why we're here. This is the real bio protocol.